Welcome back, everyone. This is Nelson's Battles and 3D Copenhagen. Epic History TV, as we all know. Oh, are you guys ready? I'm so ready. We haven't done a video like this in ages. And when I say video like this, I'm talking about a Napoleonic-esque epic history video. Of course, this is going on around the same time frame as Napoleon's marching through Europe. I don't know what year this is, so we'll have to figure out. We'll correlate that. Glad you guys are here. I'm Shields. What we do is we react to history. So let's react to some history.
In 1792,
Oh, we're just at... Oh, let me just listen.
French Revolution sparked a European conflict that would last a generation. A struggle for mastery of Europe and the world. A contest fought on land and sea. In this war of shifting alliances, the most enduring rivalry was between France and Britain.
I can't remember which ones we watched. I know we watched Gibraltar. Off the coast of Egypt as well. That was Masterclass. I can't remember which other one we watched. I think it was like it was near Spain as well. Can't remember which one it was though.
Britain could not challenge France on land, but at sea, it was a different matter. Britain's Royal Navy was as dominant on the waves as Napoleon was to prove on land. And in an age when Britain had many skilled naval commanders, one stood out above the rest. Horatio Nelson.
Ooh.
Bold, inspiring and brilliant. For the British, he'd become a national hero and legend.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think you can see a statue. Is it Leicester Square where you can see it? I think so. Trafalgar Square. Probably Trafalgar Square, given it Trafalgar. Ha! Given it was Trafalgar. Yeah, Trafalgar Square.
These are the stories of his greatest battles.
1801, okay. Before the French Empire. To Lady Hamilton. Interesting. So this was to the American Alexander Hamilton's wife.
March 1801. A British battle fleet sails across the North Sea. More than 50 vessels in all, commanded by Admiral Sir Hyde Parker. His second in command, Vice Admiral Lord Nelson. Their destination, the Danish Straits. Their target, Copenhagen.
Wasn't Denmark occupied by France at this time? Or ruled, not ruled, but like adjacent ruled? I'm not sure. What wasn't it?
9 months have passed since Napoleon's victory at Marengo shattered the Second Coalition. In its wake, Austria makes peace with France.
Yep.
Paul, Emperor of Russia, has also withdrawn from the coalition and is now considering switching sides and making an alliance with France. The cause? His fury at Britain's recent actions. Britain, which, having captured Malta from the French, refuses to hand it back to its original owners, the Knights of St. John.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to go to Rome.
Of which Paul is Grand Master.
Oh, really? How does that work? Let me know down in the comments. I'm very confused there. Is there a similar, like, is there any correlation between the Teutonic Knights, Rome, Moscow, and Malta? Because I know the Knights of St. John, aren't they the remnants of the Crusades 700 years earlier or 600 years earlier after the fall of like Acre and Jerusalem and all the others? Very curious there, if you have any insight. That's like a connective tissue I'm not having thought out right now.
Britain, which believes its naval blockade against France entitles it to stop, search and detain neutral ships at will. The insults and grievances have grown over many years. And in 1800, the neutral nations decide to act. Under Paul's leadership, Russia, Prussia, Sweden and Denmark put aside their differences to form a League of Armed Neutrality.
All right, we got a second Hanseatic League up here, basically, right?
To uphold their rights at sea.
Cool.
For Britain, the League presents a dangerous threat.
Because Britain's basically the hegemonic power on the seas at this point, right? Is there anyone that can rival them? Spain got served. France has been cornered. I mean, you have to build a coalition at this point. Great Britain is basically the power to mess with. They are the power, at least on the waves, right?
If they cannot search neutral ships, they believe their blockade of France will be fatally undermined by smuggling. A hostile Baltic threatens the source of their essential naval supplies.
Ooh, and the closest, like, huge trade hub is Copenhagen in this sense, I guess.
Such as timber. Worse yet, if Russia, Denmark and Sweden decide to take on Britain directly, their combined fleets will pose a formidable challenge.
That's crazy. I did not know that. So ships of the line, isn't that 100 plus guns? Wow. Wow.
Britain decides
Russia.
it must strike first to break up the League. And it will target its weakest and most exposed member first.
I know I'm pausing a lot and you're probably yelling at me. There's so many details here that are just interesting, especially on the alternate history side. How many of these ships for Russia are in St. Petersburg versus the Black Sea? Because obviously in this picture, I would imagine a ton of them are in the Black Sea to combat potential Ottoman Empire encroachment. Nevertheless, does that matter? No, it doesn't matter. But I'm just wondering in terms of because the contentious area here is the Baltic Sea. So more ships of the line would create greater deterrence in the Baltic Sea. Because you literally have to go, I don't know how are those ships basically TLDR, are the ships of the line more in the Baltic Sea or in the Black Sea for Russia? And the ones that are in the Black Sea, they're irrelevant, right? Because how could they cross through by Constantinople without Ottoman interference, since Ottomans don't really like Russia? Sorry for all the stopping and pausing. I'm just very interested.
Britain decides it must strike first to break up the League. And it will target its weakest and most exposed member first. Denmark. Admiral Sir Hyde Parker has been dispatched to Copenhagen with a powerful fleet and an ultimatum for the Danes. Quit the League and grant the British safe passage through the Straits, or be attacked. The League of Armed Neutrality was meant to guarantee Danish security. Instead, it has put her in the firing line of the world's most powerful navy.
And what's Sweden and Russia and Prussia gonna do now that one of their members are being threatened? I don't know. Our friend here is a little nervous about dark nights and fields of ice. But we must brace up. These are not times for our nervous systems.
Admiral Sir Hyde Parker has received his command on the basis of seniority, and because he has experience of planning operations in the Baltic, though he has never actually been there. He is well liked, but will soon exhibit a frustrating pattern of indecision and delay, to the exasperation of his second-in-command, Lord Nelson. The hero of Cape St. Vincent, the victor of the Nile, Nelson's adored by the public and admired by comrades as a daring commander. He has the scars to prove it.
Golly, look at that. The capture of Corsica. Battle of Cape St. Vincent. We watched that. Did we watch the Battle of Santa Cruz? Tenerife? Don't remember. The Battle of Nile. We watched that. Jeez.
Having lost an arm and now blind in one eye.
He's a fighter.
The British fleet consists of 19 ships of the line.
Okay, so ships of the line does not mean 100 guns. You guys probably already commented that I was wrong by now. Does it mean, what does it mean then? Does it mean above 50 guns? Because that's what it looks like.
5 frigates, and many smaller ships for navigating the shallow waters of the Danish Straits. These include sloops, brigs and bomb ships, armed with mortars for high-angle fire. They also carry 900 marines for attacking shore defenses.
That's crazy. Some amphibious landings happening.
Another ship of the line, HMS Invincible, is en route to join Parker's task force when she is shipwrecked off the Norfolk coast.
So ironic, huh, with that name?
With the loss of 400 lives. After a week of sailing, the British fleet enters the Kattegat Strait and dispatches the frigate Blanche with the ultimatum for Denmark. 3 days later, Blanche returns. The Danes have rejected the British terms.
Were they bluffing? Was that the sentiment? Like, where is Britain bluffing? Do you think that's what Danes are saying? Or do you think they actually believe they have support by way of the other three?
The ultimatum puts the Danes on high alert. But with the Russian fleet still iced into its Baltic ports, and the Swedes still preparing for action, now is the moment to strike against an isolated enemy. Not a moment should be lost in attacking the enemy, Nelson writes to Parker. They will every hour and day be stronger. We shall never be as good a match for them as at this moment.
I mean, that's true.
Instead, winds and Parker's indecision combine to delay the fleet's advance for several days. The British do not arrive off Copenhagen until the 30th of March. The Danish fleet is outclassed and outnumbered. It would be madness for it to come out and fight. So to reach it, the British must sail into Copenhagen harbour. That night, Admiral Parker and Nelson approach by boat for a closer look. Had the British sailed without delay, they would have found the Danish defences half complete and undermanned. But on the eve of battle, they appear stronger than expected.
I mean, it's such a guess too, right? And you got these shoals, which is not going to make it easy for anyone. And look at Copenhagen, guys. Like, this thing is formidable. I mean, it's been sacked before by sea. They have a citadel right off this is just a beautifully built city, by the way. A beautifully built city. But oh my goodness. It is dangerous to get in there, I'm guessing.
The approach to Copenhagen's harbour is dominated by a narrow, deep-water channel known as King's Deep. Along its edge, the Danes have anchored 18 warships in line. Many are dismasted hulks, not fit for sea, but they can still act as powerful floating gun platforms.
Yeah?
They are supported by several smaller ships and shore batteries many manned by inexperienced but patriotic volunteers. Guard ships protect the harbour's northern entrance, as well as the dangerous Trikroner fort, housing 65 heavy guns and 3 mortars.
So that's what that is. That's pretty strategic right there.
Potentially just as dangerous as the Danish defences, the shoals,
Yeah, you can run aground and it's over.
which must be carefully navigated to bring the British safely into King's Deep. Copenhagen will be a tough nut to crack. But for all his faults, Admiral Parker knows Nelson's qualities and hands him complete responsibility for planning and leading the attack.
That's kind of convenient since you set him up for failure with your delay. But hey, so now the responsibility is off your shoulders. Kind of convenient, eh? It looks formidable to those who are children at war, but to my judgment, with 10 sail of the line, I can annihilate them. He's really he is very arrogant. He is very arrogant. We'll see.
For his attack, Nelson asks Parker for just 10 ships of the line. Parker gives him 12. While Parker and the heaviest ships stand off to the northeast, Nelson will lead his ships, supported by Captain Riou's frigate squadron and the smaller vessels, in an attack from the south. On the 1st of April, Nelson sails down the outer channel in full view of the Danes and drops anchor to await a favourable southerly wind for the attack.
This is a really stupid question, but how does the Brits know that there's a middle shoal right here? Is it cartographed? Is that why? Do they have like people on their ships that are experts in this? Are there markers? How do they know that there's a middle shoal right there?
That evening, Nelson invites all his captains to dine aboard HMS Elephant, where together they toast a leading wind and victory. He then spends the night writing out precise instructions for every captain, specifying their targets, while Captain Hardy goes out by boat to take soundings of the depth of the channel under the very noses of the enemy. The entire Danish fleet would be a close match for Nelson's force in terms of firepower, but many Danish crews have been hastily thrown together.
Yeah, don't forget about the Trikroner fort.
A mix of soldiers, sailors and civilians, many with little training or experience. While Nelson's plan means his firepower will be focused on just a section of the Danish line, defending King's Deep. Next morning, Nelson gets his wind, and at 9:30 a.m., the British fleet is underway, with HMS Edgar in the lead. But disaster strikes immediately. Nelson's old ship, HMS
God dang it.
Agamemnon, cannot clear the middle ground shoal and runs aground.
He's gonna have to get towed now.
An ominous start for such a hazardous operation. Half an hour later, Edgar comes within range of Provestine at the southern end of the Danish line. And she opens fire.
It has begun.
One by one, Danish and British ships join the action. The lead British ships follow Nelson's orders to the letter. As each ship reaches its allotted position, it drops anchor and begins to blast its targets at close range. The ships behind pass on the outer side to reach their own stations.
Yeah, it just gives you so little room to maneuver too.
Glatton lines up against the Danish flagship Danabru. Ardent against Kronborg.
Oh, that's an easy win. Come on.
Edgar takes on Ulan and the floating batteries Nubor and Ransborg. Isis against Vagri. But from his flagship, Nelson sees Bellona strayed too close to the middle ground shoal. His desperate signals cannot stop her going aground. Nelson makes sure to avoid Bellona's error, then anchors HMS Elephant in Bellona's intended position.
Ah, that's pretty smart. Fill the gap.
From here, Elephant takes on the floating battery Grenier and the converted horse transport Agershus.
So Dane's really just making this navy work.
To emphasize the dangers of the shoal, Nelson raises signal 16. Engage the enemy more closely.
Yeah, I gotta remember there's a ton of different flags and communication and everything's built off of them.
With 2 ships grounded, Nelson has to improvise and shouts orders to each passing ship, redirecting them to new targets.
Yeah, because each one has got to go one further back now.
Soon, Ganges is taking on Elephant's intended target, Shalan.
That's an equal battle right there.
Monarch engages Charlotta Amelia and the floating battery Soesten. Defiance takes on Holstein.
That's pretty cool though. Everyone's got like their own assignment.
But HMS Russell becomes disoriented in the thick smoke and grounds alongside Bellona.
Bro, like 3 ships failed.
The battle has just started, and already 3 of Nelson's most powerful ships are immobilized. Captain Ryu's frigate squadron, however, is about to step into the breach. The 36-gun HMS Désirée takes up her position to rake the southernmost Danish ships, while Captain Ryu himself, aboard HMS Amazon, leads the rest of the frigate squadron towards the head of the British line to take on unengaged Danish defences and Trikroner Fort.
Yeah, I mean that's stepping into the lion's head or mouth right there.
By 11 AM, all the British ships of the line are engaged, and an immense artillery
I like how you're showing the wind direction too.
duel begins. Despite the loss of 3 ships, Nelson's hurried improvisation means he has still been able to concentrate his force against the southern half of the Danish line. British gunnery gives them the upper hand, but the Danes are putting up a fierce resistance.
Getting intense. It is getting intense. It is warm work, and this day may be the last to any of us at any moment. But mark you, I would not be anywhere else for thousands. Who is writing all these things down? They're just like, write that down, write that down.
Many of the crews that man the anchored Danish warships and hulks are inexperienced. Some have arrived only hours before the fighting began. But their bravery in the heat of battle is remarked upon by all, including their enemy. At the head of the British line, HMS Monarch and Defiance are in the most exposed position, taking on multiple enemies and within range of Trikroner Fort. Monarch has already lost her captain, James Moss, killed by a cannonball.
Dang.
His ship will suffer around 40% casualties, with 56 dead and and 164 wounded. But the well-drilled British gun crews are also wreaking havoc. At 11:15, the floating battery Ransborg has to abandon her position in the line and drifts into the shoals. The Danish flagship Dannebrog has taken heavy damage from Elephant and Glatten. With fires breaking out, the Danish commander, Commodore Fisher, transfers his command to another ship. Under incessant fire, the center of the Danish line begins to give way.
Wow.
The battered frigate Elven drifts north to safety. Nyborg tows Agershus out of the line of fire, and both are deliberately run aground before they sink. Nearly all of Shalen's 74 guns are silent, and she is taking on water.
So their line has crumbled, what I hear.
She drifts north, but drops anchor in order not to obstruct Dracona Fort's guns. Then, she strikes her colors.
Jeez. Dang. So the Danes are losing a lot.
Admiral Parker's heavy ships are still 2 or 3 miles off.
Yeah, I can't forget about the reserve. When we say reserve, are they going to get signaled, or are they literally just there just in case?
Struggling to make progress against a headwind.
Oh.
The commander-in-chief cannot see much of the battle through the thick smoke. But he can see 2 grounded ships signaling for assistance.
I told him.
At 1:15 p.m., he raises signal 39, ordering his fleet to break off the action. When the signal is pointed out to Nelson, he turns to Captain Foley, commanding HMS Elephant. "You know, Foley, I have only one eye, and I have a right to be blind sometimes." Then...
Oh, that's funny. Do you get it? He's basically calling his superior a blind man.
Putting his telescope to his blind eye, quips, "I really do not see the signal."
I love it. Oh, wait. Did I miss that? Is he basically outing himself, giving himself an out because of his... Oh, that's even funnier to me.
In fact, Parker's intention is to give Nelson the opportunity to withdraw with honor if he deems it necessary. Parker fully expects Nelson to ignore the order if there is any chance of victory.
Well, that's what we think now. I wonder if what actually he was going through Parker's head.
Nelson acknowledges Parker's signal, but does not repeat it to his ships. His fleet continues the battle. To the north, Captain Ryu also sees Parker's signal, but through the smoke, he cannot see that Nelson has not repeated it. His frigates are now in heavy action against Dracona Fort, which packs triple the broadside of each ship. Ryu reluctantly gives the order to withdraw.
No!
HMS Amazon is the last to leave, and as it turns, it is raked through the stern by the fort's guns. Amidst the carnage, Ryu shouts, "Come then, my boys, let us all die together." Seconds later, he is cut in half by a cannonball.
My man was the epiphany of foreshadowing.
Despite the loss of Captain Ryu, the British are clearly gaining the upper hand. But as British boats advance to take possession of surrendered enemy ships, Danish batteries continue to fire.
This is not an easy place to win at all.
Breach of the customs of naval warfare. Nelson is furious. He sends a threat to the Danes, carried by boat, under a white flag. Lord Nelson has directions to spare Denmark when no longer resisting. But if the firing is continued, Lord Nelson will be obliged to set on fire all the floating batteries he has taken, without having the power of saving the brave Danes who have defended them.
I mean...
The letter is taken straight to Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark, watching the battle from Copenhagen's citadel. By the time it reaches
Yeah, I mean, you can't... I don't think there's a safer place on this map than that.
him, many more Danish ships are out of action, as the British train their guns north. HMS Defiance now advances to take on Holstein, the new Danish flagship. She takes such a battering that Commodore Fisher is forced to move his flag once more, this time to Dracrona Fort. Holstein surrenders, followed by Soeston. Inford Stretton's capitulation at 3 p.m. confirms the defeat of the northern part of the Danish line. To the south, Dannebrog, Jylland, Kronborg and Sverfisken have also struck their colours.
It's over, right?
Hayen follows shortly after. With Dannebrog's fires out of control, British boats are sent to help remove the crew. After
I mean, I'm surprised none of the gunpowder magazines have gone off.
4 hours of fierce fighting, Danish resistance is finally coming to an end.
Interesting.
Shortly after 3 p.m, Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark accepts Nelson's offer of a ceasefire. Nelson begins to withdraw his battered fleet.
And all this had to do with the neutrality pact threatening their ability to search and seize ships for the French blockade.
Past the unconquered Dracrona Fort, but the damaged British ships struggle to maneuver in the narrow channel. Ganges and Monarch collide and run.
Bro, oh my gosh, how can y'all be that dumb? I know I'm someone sitting in a chair in 2025, and you guys are out here in the early 19th century commanding a huge ship in troubled waters. But how can y'all do that?
Aground. Nelson's own ship, Elephant, and Defiance also get stuck on shoals
Oh my god, y'all are embarrassing the victory.
and cannot be refloated for several hours.
It is a difficult position, though. I will say that. It's very, very, very difficult, I can imagine. With it, so much happening, too.
These mishaps indicate how easily Nelson's attack might have gone badly wrong, with less preparation or skill.
No, I think the preparation, like the matching and the skill of like filling the gap was instrumental. They also had a huge advantage in firepower and ships, though. We can't not say that.
At 4:30 p.m, as the British are leaving, the fires reach the magazine
Boom.
of Dannebrog. More than 200 perish in the explosion.
Do they not prepare for that, though? Like, come on. They should have sent more, like rowboats or something. I might be ignorant saying that. Like, this has happened so many times. Like, what are they doing?
An eerie silence descends over the waters of King's Deep, where the British bomb ships remain at anchor. Their mortars are a menacing presence, intended to influence the negotiations that lie ahead. An exhausted Nelson returns to his own ship, HMS St. George. As he takes his leave of Captain Foley, he tells him, Well, I have fought contrary to orders, and I shall perhaps be hanged. Never mind. Let them. But as the scale of Nelson's victory emerges, there is no chance of that. Of the 18 Danish vessels in their front line, 12 have been captured. Of these, Holstein is kept, becoming HMS Nassau.
Wow.
The rest are burned.
Wow, that's crazy. They, especially the bigger ones, like the 64 and 74, I'm surprised they didn't keep them. Maybe it just didn't make sense.
The Danes also suffer grievous losses among their sailors, soldiers and volunteers. British losses are 254 killed and 667 wounded. 2 ships, Monarch and Isis, have to be sent home for repairs. But the rest of the fleet is soon battle-worthy once more.
That's impressive. Especially with those narrow straits.
The British have won the battle, but now need to secure a political victory. The ceasefire is extended as negotiations get underway. In Copenhagen, Nelson is received with a mix of admiration, curiosity and displeasure, but helps to win over his hosts by telling them the Danes fought bravely for 4 hours, where the French would not have lasted 1.
Ha! Wow, that's crazy, man.
6 days after the battle, news arrives that changes everything.
Does Paul die?
Paul, Emperor of Russia, is dead.
Uh-oh. But I call for Alexander.
Murdered in his palace by army officers.
Why did that happen, by the way? Because that's such a we haven't talked about that. Why did that happen?
With the League of Armed Neutrality's chief architect out of the picture, the Danes can negotiate with the British without fear of Russian reprisal.
That's a coincidence.
They quickly suspend their commitment to the League and agree a 14-week armistice with Britain. British ships can now resupply at Copenhagen and sail on to their remaining objectives in the Baltic. But the British fleet will see no further action in the Baltic that year. The death of Paul, diplomacy, and the British show of force mean the League of Armed Neutrality quickly unravels. The fleet does get a new commander, though. Parker is recalled to England. His successor is Vice Admiral Nelson. Nelson's victory at Copenhagen wins him fresh titles. Viscount and Baron Nelson of the Nile and of Burnham Thorpe, Baron Nelson of the Nile and of Hilborough. In July, he arrives back in England to be reunited with Lady Hamilton.
That's his wife. I sound so stupid. I sound so stupid. And rightfully so. It made sense because I looked at the year and I'm like, this makes sense. It's gotta be Alexander Hamilton's wife. I know. I know. Oh, I laugh at myself.
That autumn, a preliminary peace agreement is signed with France. But in these turbulent times, peace is fleeting. Less than 2 years later, Nelson is back at sea, sailing for his date with destiny, off Cape Trafalgar. Do you want to be
Amazing. The fact, like I'm telling you guys, this might be more impressive. What do you guys think? Was this what is the best battle in your opinion of Nelson? Be either leading or co-leading. This has got to be up there, right? In the top 2. This has got to be a top 2. I don't know if it's 1, but it's got to be a top 2. Let me know if you think differently. Just the ability to kind of like have controlled chaos, being able to understand what's happening, have the right structure in place, the hierarchy, the communication, the gap analysis at charge, being able to understand and navigate and make sure things happen, and then also the diplomacy of such and the controlled chaos, really being able to control everything from a point of leadership and deduce it down to one-on-ones or one-on-twos. Really, I mean, it's really interesting. But yeah, the Danes got handed to them. But I mean, this was expected, right? I mean, the Danish fleet would not have stood a chance in open water. They did the best they could. They did the best they could. I don't know what else they could have done differently here. Um, I really don't know what else they could have done. This is the best result they could have hoped for, and that sounds foolish to say, but I mean, I don't know what else they could have done. Maybe they could have built a fort on the middle shoal 100 years ago before this, and then like practice this. But I don't know what else they could have done. Let me know if you have any thoughts or context to this entire battle. I love reading your comments and your extra history anecdotes. That really helps color in the whole picture. Thank you for being here. You have a great rest of your day. Peace out and bye bye.